Hi, Dawn and April. I'm really glad you guys are back today. I know that everything that you guys have shared so far, it still feels really heavy. And honestly, like before we get into anything today, like I do want to say that it makes sense that you guys are tired and exhausted, but you've both been putting in a lot of work, and it's hard when it feels like you're not getting anything back from Leo. So today I want to talk about and go through something that can help you try to build that reconnection with him, and a way that it also feels more manageable. So this intervention is called PACE, and it's really more about how you show up with him, especially in the moments that are much harder. And right now, we're not really going to focus on trying to fix the behavior, but more of trying to rebuild and reconnect our relationship with Leo. So, to begin with, PACE. PACE stands for playfulness, acceptance, curiosity, and empathy. So, I will walk through each and every one of them. And I want you guys to think of them less like a rule and more like a different way of how to respond to Leo. So, first, I will be going over what playfulness is. This can be a little weird at first, especially when things are already so tense at home. There's a lot of pressure. But playfulness is more about, bringing a lighter and more calmer tone into the conversations, the interactions. And I do want to let you know that, it's not all about jokes, but it is about, trying to reduce the pressure and the tension that's between you guys. So, instead of going straight into correction, you can come in a little bit lighter. For example, if Leo is not coming out for dinner, and he's pushing away, it could be, you could say something like, I think my dinner, invitation got lost or something, or I think I'm missing a person that's very important at the dinner table. It's a calm, and slightly playful way to to respond and say like, hey, like, where is Leo? Or if he's like stuck with his game, and instead of jumping into frustration, you can say that it must be a pretty serious level you're on, and that just helps him know that you're acknowledging him, and it also helps him not feel attacked right away because he's on his game, rather than spending time with his family. So next we have acceptance. Acceptance is a really big one, and acceptance just means that you're accepting Leo's feelings even when you don't accept his behaviors. And that doesn't really mean like you're going to be okay with everything that he does. It's really important right now because he's not feeling understood. So, when Leo says something like, you don't care about me, You know, instead of correcting him right away, you might say, like, wow, you know, it really feels that way to you right now. And that doesn't really mean you agree with him. It just means that you're listening and you're hearing him express his feelings. Or um, when he gets upset or if he shuts down, instead of, you know, focusing on the behavior first, you know, you could say something like, you know, I can tell that something's really bothering you, uh, and in this moment you're separating the feelings from the behavior, and this will help him know that his feelings are safe with you, even when, you know, his behaviors still need to be worked on a, you know, on a later time. So next, we have curiosity. So curiosity is about wondering what's beneath, what's underneath, what is the root cause of Leo's behavior, and that's like, instead of reacting to his behavior. So in this section, you know, this is about slowing things down. We're wondering, we're thinking, you know, what's going on underneath that behavior, because a lot of what, you know, you're seeing in Leo is, it's not just defiance, but it's something much deeper inside. So instead of, you know, thinking and saying, you know, he's just being so difficult, you know, you could say, I'm wondering if things, you know, have been feeling, you know, different since the baby came, or I wonder if this has been really hard for you ever since the baby came home. This just helps him feel seen rather than immediately feel judged. Another thing, like, that you guys have said too is, you know, he stays a lot in his room, and, you know, what you could say is, you know, I wonder if it feels easier to be, you know, by yourself sometimes, or, you know, I wonder if being around everyone is very overwhelming for you. And just by saying these is like giving him a cue for an invitation for him to share without being pressured to. So this is like letting him know that the door is open for him to share rather than forcing him to share. And lastly, empathy. This is where you step into his experience and let him know that, you know, you get it, you understand. Um, like, you know, that must be really hard, or, you know, I can tell that this is upsetting you, or this would be, you know, upsetting you. Or even after a, you know, tough moment, you know, if there's escalation, or like, or a bad behavior that shows like a tantrum, you know, in that moment you could say, you know, I'm sorry you feel that way, you know, it feels so frustrating. um, and, you know, it might get him off guard and he might not even respond, but, you know, showing up in these moments, you know, matter more than you think. And, you know, I want to be, you know, as real and as raw with you guys that, you know, he might not respond. He might not respond at all. He might not respond right away. He might even, you know, still push you back, but that doesn't mean that, you know, it's not working. It's more of Leo is expecting distance, and when you respond differently, you know, it's creating a safety place for him. And over time, as he sees this, you know, he will start to, gain trust into that safety that you guys are trying to produce. Um, and right now Leo is expecting to be rejected, is expecting to be disconnected from you guys. So when you guys start to respond in a playful way, in acceptance, curiosity and empathy, you're demonstrating that you're slowly changing his perspectives and his expectations of what he was already thinking of. So that's slowly changing it to the new expectations. So yes, so for this week, I don't want you guys to aim for the big changes, like the behaviors and stuff like that. But for now, the small moments, even a moment, in a day where you can, pause, think, and, respond with one of these. And also, giving yourself some grace. You don't have to do this perfectly. You are already, doing a lot. And, while you're already feeling hurt, it's not easy. This is a lot of work. This is hard work, especially when you're already feeling drained and exhausted. And we're going to be taking this together, step by step. And you don't have to figure this all out all at once. It takes time, and it takes a village to work with children. So we will be working together, just taking time. And when we figure it out, we're going to get there. But right now we're going to take it. So that is pace for you guys. And I'm gonna open the floor to you guys. How are you guys feeling? What do you guys think about pace? I know it was a lot of information. But yeah, do you guys have any questions, concerns, thoughts that you guys want to ask, share, that I can answer for you guys?